some scrap wood from down the shed, some scraps of foam from other projects. I'm trying to match it with the D-Day bunker I built last year. See the video link at the end. So I'm gluing it together with some PVA glue. Usually wait a few days for it to thoroughly dry out. Then I've removed the foil off the wall insulation, and now I'm going to just simply make some concrete impressions using a screwdriver. I've done this before with the bunker. It's a good effect and quite simple to do. So mould the clay to any sort of shape that you sort of want. Here I'm sort of trying to make it look like it's been blown up against the wall, so when the sand goes on it, it looks a little bit different. So here I need to match the two together, so I need to change the heights of the original one. So I've put on some blocks and then I've just merged it to sort of match as much as I possibly can. Using a figure, I'm just making footsteps here in the wet clay before it dries. This is the tank I'm going to use. Again, I've already posted a video of it, so I'll put the link at the end for that. Here I'm using the track for an impression. This hedgehog is from a Tamiya kit. I'm trying to get it so it looks like the sand's built up around the legs. Now time to add more stone, rubble, concrete. So PVA first. That goes just all over and it acts as a seal as well, which is good for the foam. So this is just some mortar I found, and I broke it up with a hammer and just putting it all over. Realistic and cheap, it doesn't cost anything. Next lot was aquarium sand, which I do use quite a lot. It's really cheap from pet shops and it looks like really good stone, small stone. And then lastly, it's fine kiln sand, or any sand really you've got, as long as it's dry, you don't want it wet. And then what I wanted to do was to make it look like it was being blown out, and it didn't go that well at first, so I'm just doing it individually. Then I realised I needed to do it more of a bigger area, so that's why there's a lot more glue on there. I mean, in the end there was just glue everywhere really, just to make it work, but you've got to work in sections because of the glue drying. Here I'm putting some of the aquarium sand just at the bottom of the cliff, so that matches in with the other diorama. And I'm putting the track back on to use it as almost masking for when I'm going to put the sand on. So I'm putting the PVA and then I'm sprinkling the fine kiln, because I didn't want it to go into the track impressions, because I felt it might hide it, and I wanted it to look like it was like crushed sand, so it would be easier to paint and weather. And then finally I'm just doing a road, so I've got a little bit of sort of contrast, and that was sort of the result. So I'm using just black as a primer and undercoat. You just have to keep painting it from different angles just to make sure you do get the coverage. And I did a little bit of pre-shading on some of the areas as well. So when I put the other sand colours on, you got a bit of modulation, sort of like I've done the track at this position. So this is just basic dry brushing with some white acrylic paint. Again, I'm just trying to get some contrast when I use the airbrush. And although it's an old technique, I really do like it. So I'll go all the way over the stones to get the coverage that I feel I need prior to airbrushing. So I'm just trying to pick out stones in different areas. So when you look at it, there's different colours there. It's not just a mass of one colour. Can be quite time consuming. You just need to keep the airbrush sort of tight. So the Hedgehog's been painted in the light rust. Then I've applied worn effects, or you can use airspray. And then you spray on your next coat, which is like a very dark grey in this instance. And then as soon as that's dry, you get some water and you just start to sort of nibble away and chip away. You can use a toothpick as well. To get the sort of result that you want. I just wanted some warm edges, so I'm sort of concentrating on the edges. So I'm using Iraqi sand from Vallejo. It's quite a deep, rich sort of yellow, and as you can see, I'm being very careful with the coverage, so some of that black's still coming through. This isn't going to be the final coat. I will be using a paler colour on top, but I just have to go around and go as close as I can to some of the stones and whatever. But the more modulation you get, the sort of better with it. So this mix I came up with in the previous diorama video, the Normandy soil. It's sort of a very sort of, I don't know, sort of light, reddy sort of brown colour. So this is the final sand colour. Again, I'm just trying to put it over the top of the other colours, so some of the other colours show through still. So it's not just one bland sort of colour, and just pick some out in the wall as well, just to give it a bit of contrast. The actual road itself, that was different. It was like a buff colour. The trick with static grass is to just do it in small patches, in my opinion. And then I tend to always use tweezers these days. So in a bit more detail, I'm applying the Podge Modge in patches, and then I'm getting the static grass. There's various sizes, sort of about 4mm, and then I'm using 2mm on the edges, and just let it dry then. Just another reminder that this is the deep wade Sherman I'm going to be using, just a Tamiya kit. I've already posted a video of this, so go take a look. So I thought I was getting near the end, but I'm not happy with the wall. It doesn't look like I want it to, really. It looks like the wall's been blown up and then it's all been cleared away, which wouldn't have been the case. There's got to be some artistic license, but I think what I'm going to need to do is just to sort of build it up a little bit, and I might put a step in it maybe, like some of the photographs I've seen for the reference. So I think I'm going to have a play around with that before I start to finish off the other bits. So now I'm just got to paint some of the individual tiny stones, so flat earth, some sort of beige colour, greys, just any colours you've really got. So here I'm applying an enamel wash to the tank treads. Once that's sort of dry, you can get a cotton bud with a bit of thinner and just remove it. And I'm starting to place the hedgehog, starting to get things into place, bit of super glue just to keep it sort of down. They are a bit flexible, so you can bend them in to your bits of clay that you've sort of got, although a bit did chip off, as I'm going to show here, but you could just glue it back on and it was fine. I used a white enamel wash to go on the edges of the grey concrete, and it worked really well, almost like it's been chipped and it's quite fresh. I was really pleased with the way it sort of worked out, especially on this stone wall. I wasn't expecting it to look as good as it did, really, and it was, for the amount of effort, it was a good finish. The logs in here are from the same kit as the hedgehogs from Tamiya. Again, I'm just want to put just a small amount of barbed wire in, so I'm just using these as almost sort of struts and posts to hang the barbed wire off. So just super glue just to sort of keep them in place. Just painted with some sort of acrylics and a little bit of oil paint. I've got a previous video of how I've made the barbed wire, which is quite a cheap way of making it, and I was quite sort of pleased with it, especially when you sort of weather it up. So the rebar reinforcements in the wall, just wire. Obviously, you got to be a bit careful. I just bent them so there wasn't really poking out and anyone could get hurt. So I haven't even glued them in place. So then I've painted it with the light rust. You could paint them not inside and paint them after. That might have been sort of better. So I just went round painting them all, and it looked all right, but I felt like I could do a little bit more with that, really. So here I'm just going to put some extra sand. I'm putting some Podge Modge, or you could have used PVA, and I just want to build up the sand around the bottom, like if the wind was sort of blowing it up. So there we go, there's me kiln sand again, and I'm not really sure why I tried to do it this way, but I'm trying to be a little bit accurate and strategic with it, rather than just throwing it on with my fingers. But I was quite pleased, and it gives different contrast as well to the sand. So going back to the rebar, I've mixed some track rust with a bit of enamel thinners just to get a bit of a wash going, and then I started to put it on and it was okay. It wasn't sticking as much as I wanted. Then I've just gone round, just basically painted black acrylic around the base just to try and finish it off. So I went back to the rebar and I've sprinkled the pigment on, and then I've got a needle, and I've actually used that to put the pigment fixer on to keep it into place. It was nice because some of the actual pigment went down onto the concrete and it looked quite a nice effect. I was quite pleased with it. It still looks a little bit bland, so I'm just going to add some wash for DAC vehicles from MIG, just in just various spots, just to give it just that little bit more definition, really, make it a bit more sort of interesting, just in little cracks and corners, really. So I've added the tank and also some figures from Masterbox and also Tamiya, just basic figures, and then I've put it together with the original diorama. It worked out quite well. So here's just loads of pictures of how I got on. Really appreciate you watching it. I hope you got some great ideas from it. Please look at all the other videos that are attached, and thank you.